All right, let's start with your name. Where'd your name come from?
The Kidd AJC. At the time when I felt like I had officially needed a name, I was in a group. It was about 5 of us. We were called the Buck Boys, and I was the youngest. And that's pretty much, they just called me the Kid. So I just always stuck with it. And AJC is my name. AJ Clark is what it stands for. So the Kid is kind of, it's not really, doesn't stand, at the time it meant the youngest, but it's kind of like, how you be throwing it out, the Kid, it's just an adjective or some shit. But the Kidd AJC.
Ever had any other rap aliases?
Nah, just one day I decided, man, I'm gonna have to come on up and figure up a name. And the Kidd AJC was the easiest thing I came up with, so it just kind of stuck. And then in the streets, people started calling me it, so I kind of like, fuck it, I'm gonna run with that.
Now, where are you from?
I'm from, I would say, the 985. I'm from Hammond and Amite. I spent like an equal amount of time in both. Because I'm a military brat, I was born in Hammond, Louisiana, and my mom's in the military, so around 2 or 3, we moved to like Germany. And I stayed overseas for a while. I've stayed, after that we moved like North Carolina, Texas, South Carolina. I did a lot of moving as a young, and I didn't move back to Louisiana until 13. And I stayed in Hammond about 3 more years after that, and at 15, 16, I moved to Amite. And that's where I pretty much learned everything I got out of everything at that point, you know what I'm saying?
Is that where you live now?
Yeah. No. Do I live in Amite?
Yeah.
No. I stay outside of the area, outside of my whole parish. You can't find me.
So you in Hammond now?
No, I have a studio located in Hammond that I run.
Okay.
And I stay outside of the whole, we have parishes in Louisiana, it's in county, so I stay outside of my whole area.
Now, I always wondered what parish meant. That's like equivalent to a county?
Yeah, I don't know, for whatever reason. Like I said, I need to do my Louisiana history a little better, but we're the only state with parishes. We do parishes instead of counties, so, but it's pretty much the equivalent.
Okay, now let's talk about your upbringing. You said you moved around a lot. Paint the picture for us. Would you consider it a rough upbringing or no?
I mean, my mom came from the same place that, like I said, Amite, Louisiana, and bottom of Palmetto Street. My people still live there. Well, not recently because we had a flood that knocked our whole house out, but my mom grew up in the same house. She just chose that she was gonna take a different route, you know what I'm saying? And she went to the military, and she kind of bust her ass to kind of get us in a better situation. I had my older sister, and I have a younger brother and a younger sister by my mom. But I wouldn't say we had it like great coming up. We moved around a lot and living on military base at first, and then you kind of move off the base when she, ranked up, and she worked to make sure we had something. But at 13, I decided I wanted to go live in Louisiana with my dad and my brother. You know what I'm saying? So when I moved to Louisiana, that's when I kind of really got the real. You know what I'm saying? I learned all my street smarts and everything at that point. Because when I came, I was kind of slower than everybody. You know what I'm saying? My little brother was actually faster than me. So, I caught up fast though, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, if you out here, you either gonna get fucked over or you gonna learn it. So I had to learn quick. I was just one of those type of people. But I would say when I got down here, my dad, we had all right living, you know what I'm saying? And my stepmom, she busted her ass, make sure we had something, me and my brother. And after that, my dad died when I was 17. So at that point, I moved to Amite. Like I said, 16, 17, that's when I moved to Amite. I didn't live with him anymore. And we had a rough, like me and him had a kind of crazy type of relationship anyway for the time when I was there. And when I moved to Amite, I was living with family, cousins, my aunties, and they all just kind of raised me, and I was just doing whatever the fuck I wanted to, me and my homies. Like, we were just running the streets. I learned everything I learned fucking up, you know what I'm saying, making mistakes, catching charges, catching felony charges. I have 2 felonies, which I don't never really rap about because it's not nothing to super brag about to me, but catching charges, back and forth, juvenile, you know what I'm saying, in and out, house arrest, all that bullshit. I did all that. And just learning everything I had to do in the streets, and it just kind of, at the same time, me having the worldly outlook, and I moved around, and I been places, and I saw better, I knew that, you know what I'm saying, I was smart enough to get out of this shit. So I just was lucky enough to have friends who were real ambitious, and they didn't want to stay there. They wanted to do shit bigger. My homeboy who owns part of my label, he was supposed to hit the NFL. That was his dream. You know what I'm saying? That shit fell through, so, everybody had a dream, you know, around me, and I just was the one who kind of kept this music shit going, you know what I'm saying? So I kept going with the music, and every loss I took coming up, or, you know, the streets, it was tough, you know, for a long time. I was just out, I was homeless at points. People didn't know, you know what I'm saying, living with friends, family. I stayed in the studio, you know what I'm saying, stayed out in the studio at points. But, I mean, I felt like all the shit I went through just made me who I am, and it got me to the point I'm at, to where when I got a little something, I appreciate it, but I knew it wasn't shit. So I always keep going. It made me just want more, you know what I'm saying?
Now, you mentioned your father. Were you able to patch things up before he passed away?
Nah, we didn't talk at all. He just died, and we were still into it when he died, so I never talked to him again.
What did he pass away from?
I don't know, man. I think my dad had heart problems and stuff. I know he had a stroke like a year or so before. We had spoken a few years, and I know they said he didn't go to work for like 3 or 4 days or whatever, and they just went to his house and they found him dead. But my dad used to smoke and drink, and like he used to get loaded. He was doing this shit. My dad was the type where he felt like he was gonna live his life until it was over. I don't knock him for that, you know what I'm saying? Fuck it.
Do you wish you would have patched it up before he passed?
Yeah, I do. You know what I'm saying? That's something I think about all the time, but I don't know, I had this dream where we talked, and we kind of like, it was like a real dream. I knew I was dreaming, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause I knew he was dead, and I told him like, we're not supposed to be talking cause you're dead. And he just pretty much told me he wasn't mad at me no more, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't a big issue, you know, to live my life and keep doing what I was doing. And gave me a hug, and I woke up. And that was it. So that kind of just gave me a little peace. Now,
you mentioned you were homeless at one point. How long would you say you were quote unquote homeless for?
A few years, man. Like, this shit was kind of, and homeless, I don't mean like living on the streets, like outside, like under a tree type of shit, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I slept in my car, but I was fortunate enough, like I say, to have people along the way who kind of would pick me up, my cousins, you know what I'm saying? Made sure that I had something and would be either living with them, or my homeboy Vernon, he took me in for a few years. And my homeboy Lo, he took me in for like a year or so, you know what I'm saying? Until I just got on my feet. Then I told you, I stayed in b.i.g studio for a while, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just like, my homeless was kind of like just staying with different people. Like, you don't have your own home, that's homeless, you know what I'm saying? So I never had my own home, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's different levels to homeless.
Right.
Yeah. Now, growing up as in your youth, what type of student were you in school?
I was the type of student that was smart as hell, but always disrupting the class. I had ADHD and shit, so I was just always hyper. Like, I wanted to like be the class clown and make people laugh, kind of. But I was smart. I knew everything. Like, I passed all my tests. I never studied. I just like kind of skim over it right before we go to the test and take it and pass. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But I was kind of disruptive. I got suspended a lot.
Did you, with the traveling of your family, with the military career of your mom, did you go through a lot of schools?
Oh, hell yeah, man.
How many schools?
I can't tell you. Like, I literally do not remember. Like, I know my 12th grade year, I might have switched schools 5 times, like, just in my senior year. Cause I think at that year I was still going in and out of jail and shit, and my mom kind of came and told them that she was gonna take me overseas for them to let me out of jail. So that was how I got out of jail, cause she told them that I was moving to Korea. So I went to Korea my 12th grade year, then that kind of went crazy. I went to Atlanta that year. Then I wound up back in Louisiana again. I didn't even go to my graduation. I was like, fuck that shit. Just give me my diploma, I'm straight. I don't like remember a lot of my like high school, like I didn't go to proms, no proms. I did one homecoming, I think, in middle school. I didn't do any, no, it was high school, my first year of high school. I didn't do any, like none of Sadie Hawkins. I don't remember like doing a lot of that shit that people did in high school, like, you know what I'm saying? I played football on the football team for my 9th grade year, but then when I started moving and going in and out of jail, kind of fucked all that up. So.
Did you ever think about joining the military yourself?
Yeah, I did. My mom used to always try to tell me something like that, but she didn't never force it on me. But at one point I tried to go, me and my little brother, we were finna go, and they had like some buddy system, you know what I'm saying? Where like if you go, y'all go through basic training together and you do all your stuff together. But we both had open charters, so neither one of us could go. So.
Now, did your mom, is she still in the military? Is she's
retired now.
She do a full 20 years or?
She's done like 30 or something, man.
Oh.
Like, she's been in there forever.
What branch?
Army.
Now, you graduated high school. What about college? Did you try college?
Nah, I wanted to, but when I graduated high school, I was like right after I said I was gonna take a year off like people do. You know, I'm gonna chill for a minute. I don't want to go to school, and I got in the streets, and it just fucked my whole vision of school. I got kind of used to that. You know what I'm saying? Just doing that and whatever like that. But years later, me getting involved with the music and engineering, I was always smart enough to like do the engineering stuff behind the scenes and figure out how to make beats. And I was blessed enough to have people around me who was like producers, like Skandar Miles. He taught me kind of how to play the piano, you know, a little bit enough for me to start making my own beats. And at that point, I can engineer and make my own beats now. I can record myself, you know what I'm saying? So I just went and bought a couple of little studio stuff and did that, and then led to me kind of, you know, pretty much wanting to go to school for it. You know, I was like, I don't want to be somebody who's recording people in the closet forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to record in the closet forever. I knew what my vision was and where I wanted to go with it. So I was like, well, fuck it, man. I'm going to go to school. So I went to Atlanta Institute of Music in Duluth, and I came chilled out here for a while. And I was like, fuck, what the hell's better than being in Atlanta and going to school for what I want to go to school for?
So is that considered more like a trade school?
Yeah, it was like, well, actually now, when I got there, they weren't even giving out like the full bachelor's degrees. They were like giving you certs or whatever, which you can go back and do it. But they're giving out now, like the school's gotten so bigger now that they're actually giving out your bachelor's degrees. And they've actually wanted me to come back and do it. And I thought about it, but in this game, nobody's asking me for my, you know, real degree or like being like, hey, pull out your certifications and let me see it. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna be like, hey man, sit down in front of this, mix this beat or make this beat, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think I want to go back to finish it and get like a further degree in it and do whatever. The stuff that I did, I'm official, I'm certified, I'm good with it, you know what I'm saying?
Now, what's your advice to someone thinking about going to school past high school? Obviously, you did the trade school route. Some people suggest college. Some people suggest you don't need college. Some people suggest a trade school. Some people, you know, go to college and quit and become successful like Bill Gates. And some people go to college, get a degree, and don't even end up getting a job they got a degree in. Or maybe a trade school. Maybe they go to a trade school and don't end up doing a job they got, I don't know. Well, what's your advice to somebody thinking about going to a trade school or college? Or, and obviously you didn't try college, but, you know.
I wish I would have, though. I mean, for the experience. I mean, I can't say that I would have been, because right now, I want to go back to school now, and I've actually been trying to think of something, but I don't know what I would want to go to school for. So my opinion is, follow your heart. If your heart got that kind of desire, like, man, I think this might be something I want to do, go try it. You know what I'm saying? Because you might get something out of it. If you don't go and you finish, I mean, if you go and you quit, you can still be successful. It doesn't necessarily mean you won't be successful. And if you go and you get a degree, and the degree, you know, you might wind up being successful in something else, but you still got a degree. So it's going to play out in your favor. But if you choose not to go, then I tell you, follow your heart. If you say, I don't need college, I'm going to be successful doing this, you can be successful doing it. You just need to have a plan. You know what I'm saying? As long as you have a plan, you know what I'm saying? College didn't work for everybody, you know what I'm saying? But if you got a plan, then that'll work.
Now, previously you said that you took a year off after high school and you got into the streets, and then you kind of went to the trade school music situation. Right. Looking back, hindsight and reflecting, do you wish you would have made a move to go to the trade school sooner and quicker, or maybe no regrets?
Nah, I mean, it's that's a hard thing to answer, man. Like, if you would go back, would you change it? I love where I'm at now. Like, if I go back and change something, I might not be where I'm at now. I might have accomplished something else, but I might not have accomplished this. So, I mean, everything, like I said, in between me not going to school and leading up to that, made me, like, it prepared me for this. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have any regrets with what it is.
Jobs you had growing up, if any?
My first job was at Popeyes in Amite. That was kind of cool, but I was on, like, some Job Corps stuff. I was at Popeyes, and then I worked at, like, Family Dollar on a Job Corps type stuff, which is cool.
What's Job Corps?
It's like when you're kind of coming out of high school or whatever, and they kind of start you off kind of working, and they place you in somewhere, and they give you a couple hours, you know what I'm saying, let you work after school type stuff like that. So that's how I started off. But after graduating, I think the only thing I did was like warehousing with order filling. And they give you an order, and you got to go run around the warehouse on the pallet and put all this shit on here in a certain amount. I I lasted through my training curve because they give you the training curve or whatever where you make it, and then by then I probably quit or they fire me or some shit. I don't show up enough days. After that, I did scaffolding, which is kind of what everybody does where I'm from. It's like in the plants, you know what I'm saying? You building structures for people to work on or whatever, which it pays pretty good. And I always got fired from that or quit. I don't like waking up early. You gotta like wake up at like 3, 4 in the morning and then drive all the way like an hour or two and then work in the plant till like 7 and then come home. And you do this like every day. It's good money, like I say, and it's not a hard job, but every day I go, it would drive me because I just knew it wasn't meant for me. You know what I'm saying? Then I would be out there and they'll fuck with me, be like, oh, look at this rapper out here, can't build this scaffold. And I'd be like, this ain't my motherfucking life, man. I'm just out here trying to get a check. And then eventually I just said, fuck that shit too. So that's about it with the
Any
jobs.
crazy stories dealing with any of these jobs? Anything out of the norm?
Every time, I mean, plants blowing up where I'm from all the time, man. Like people, you know, who are like where I'm from and work in plants, man. Plants blowing up, they be in the plant next door or something like that. Stuff like that. I got fired one time because a white guy lied on me. Got me fired on some racial profiling type stuff. Just literally went up there and just told them some shit I just didn't even do, and they just didn't even care, and they fired me.
Talking about the AT&T job?
No, this is scaffolding too.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
because oh yeah, man, we're from. It's crazy where we're from, man. You know, very racial.
Now, you mentioned earlier you grew up with with your single mom household. Your father was separate. Now you said you had a brother?
Yeah, I have a little brother by my mom and a little brother by my dad. My dad had separate kids. I only knew one of my dad's kids. He had more, a lot of them, and I didn't know none of them.
Anybody else in your family raps besides yourself, or no?
My little cousin, I got a cousin named Lil Anthony.
Have you guys collabed?
Yeah, of course. I make beats for him, mix master for him, and all that type of stuff. Besides that, in my family, my cousin Buddy Rowe, he rapped. Skandar, it's like pretty much my cousin. He like the one I told you who taught me how to play piano and kind of put me in the studio when I was young. He's like family. If I'm missing anybody, my bad, but that's immediate family who I deal with on a regular basis. So.
What does your family think about your rap career?
Some of my biggest supporters. I mean, my cousin Pookie is the craziest. She Facebooks and do everything, and it's kind of, I be laughing, but, you know, they support the fuck out of me, so, you know, big ups to them. Always make me feel like I'm gonna make it. They already make me feel like a star now. You know, I haven't even made it yet, but they make me feel like.
In regards to your parents, what's the worst thing you put them through?
I think, just like I say,
was it the felonies or something worse?
Yeah, which me and my dad had a big situation probably, which was why I caught my first kind of felony type of shit, and it was crazy. Like, he put the charges on me. So we was into it, and that story kind of played out to some bad shit, and then, like I said, he died and we never talked again. So that would probably be the worst thing with my parents. And I don't know, me and my mom, I don't know, just being out here and doing whatever the hell I want. I think she feels like I should have a more structured life or something, like I'm too smart to be doing the shit I'm doing, but I just feel like, you know, you live once, man, fuck it, you know what I'm saying? Just do what you want to do until you die, as long as you ain't doing no crazy shit, you know what I'm saying?
Care to share what those felonies were?
Not the one necessarily with my dad, because that story's kind of crazy. I get too emotional fucking with that, but the other shit was on some, they say I was in possession of some stuff that was, you know, kind of on some shit. So that type of shit.
With these felonies, did you have to do prison time?
The first one I did 2 years, because it was my juvenile record. I did like 3-4 months in like Florida Parish, which is the juvenile detention center where we're from. And my second felony, I did 2 years supervised probation again. And I got both of the two expunged. You know, your juvenile record gets expunged when you leave, and then I got my second felony expunged. So right now I'm kind of straight, so I'm trying to walk as tight a line as I can.
You did house arrest?
Yeah, for a minute when I was young, they used to have me on the shit where it wasn't like the ankle bracelet shit. It was like they want to pop up on you and catch you type shit. You're supposed to be there at a certain time, call in type shit. They pull up on you, you know what I'm saying? You better be within this radius, you know what I'm saying? I could only probably walk up the street, and it's crazy because the street I lived on, my friends always talk about this shit to this day. it's like a straight street. You can see all the way up to the track where my people live, you know what I'm saying? So I could always see when my probation officer was coming over the track. So I'd be like, they'd be like, oh shit, and I'd tear out running and go back to the house and try to pretend like I was at home. Crazy story, shit like that.
How long did you have to do that for?
About a year or two, but I kept violating all the time. So they'll take me off probation, like house arrest, and put me in jail for like 90 days. And then I'd do that and then come home for a while and go back to school, and then my probation officer come get me again for like going to the clubs and being, you know, I was like too young in the club and shit like that. And I was just in the streets and not going to school and shit. I mean, my grades were good, but I just not go on certain days and stuff. And they'd always come lock me up, violate me for 90 days. And like I say, the way I got off of that was my mom came and told them she was moving me to Korea. So they let me off. And then when I came back, I was totally done with that shit.
What's your message to the youth?
Follow your heart, man. Follow your dream. Like, do what you want to do. You don't have to follow any protocol, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to do what people think is best for you. Like, you're gonna live this life one time, and at the end of the life, when you get to the end of your life, or you looking back on the shit you did in life, and you be like, damn, I wish I would've did this. Just do what you wanna do now, so when you get there, even if you didn't succeed, you feel like, hey, I tried what I wanted to go for, and I chased my dreams, and you know what I'm saying? You'll be one of the people probably who will reach them. The people who aren't scared to follow them are the people who, you know, who actually achieve it. So just follow your heart and follow your dream, and don't worry about what nobody else thinks.
Let's talk music for a little bit.
All right.
How'd you get into rap music?
That's kind of crazy. I never, it seems like it's always been going. Like, well, first of all, my older sister was a big rap. She was always on rap heavy. So I used to steal her CDs all the time. Any CD she bought that was rap, like my first CDs that I could actually remember, like Bone East 1999, and my mom had all the old school rap stuff, but the shit that when I really started kind of getting old enough to kind of interpret what was being said and kind of take it in, like Bone East 1999 and people like that. I remember she had the Brat CD. I used to like the Brat. That's kind of crazy. She was one of my favorite rappers back then because my sister used to always listen to it. I think Biggie, Pac, like whatever, you know what I'm saying, like that type of shit back then, that's what kind of inspired me listening to it, you know what I'm saying? And back then I wasn't even rapping, I was just listening. And then keep going, I used to always want to like do videos of myself rapping their stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I still hadn't, you know, really got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna start creating my own stuff. And I think at school, I got to like, I don't know if it was 6th or 7th grade, man, I had some dudes who used to go to lunch and they used to form a little circle and start freestyling and shit. And I just thought that shit was cool. So one day I was like, fuck that shit, man. I'm finna write this rap, and tomorrow I'm going to school and I'm getting in this circle and I'm finna rap this shit. And that's what I did. And I rapped, and it was like the best feeling ever, and it was take off from there.
What age were you?
12, 13. That's when I started writing my own raps, 12 or 13.
Any musical influences, anybody that inspired you?
Everything. Music, period, is the inspiration. It doesn't even have to be rap, but like at that time, I was listening to Biggie real hard. Like I love Biggie and Bone. Like they were like my favorites.
How many, go ahead.
And Biggie was so like lyrical, you know, the lyricists in Biggie and the storytelling he did back then was kind of just, I was living on the East Coast then, so I didn't get all the Pac, and like I heard it, but I was bigger on like the Biggie at the time. So when I was like real young, that was probably who I was listening to a lot.
How many years would you say you've been perfecting your craft for?
I'm 29, so 29. I feel like everything that led up to this was helping me. Like the music that I heard coming up before I was rapping helped me, because I still reference to some of that to take stuff from it, you know what I'm saying? So I felt like everything led up to this, and it's all, I've been perfecting this forever. This is what I was made for.
Do you remember your first rap or what you were rapping about back then?
Bullshit. I don't remember it, but it was some bullshit, just some random ass shit. Probably just rhyming words.
When it comes to the music industry, what's your biggest pet peeve with it at this point? What bothers you the most about it, if anything?
People who tell you what to do and how you should do it, but they haven't achieved what they're telling you that you should do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the people who always want to kind of control your career from the outside. Like it's so many people along your way that are going to tell you, yeah, man, you should do this. Yeah, this is how to, yeah, you're doing this, but if you do this, you know, it'll work. And deciphering who to listen to, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to say nobody has good advice, you know what I'm saying? It's some good advice you're going to get out there. You got to be willing to take it in, everything, but at the same time, you got to be willing to decipher what's, you know, good shit and what's just people wanting to run their mouth because they see where you going and they want to try to dictate what you got going on. So that's my biggest pet peeve about it, just everybody having an opinion of what you got going on.
Top 3 things you need in the studio.
First thing is some good ass weed. I gotta have something to smoke, you know what I'm saying, pretty much get me in my zone.
What strain?
I like OG Kush, platinum cookies, you know what I'm saying? I like cookies. I don't like no indicas really. I hate kind of indicas. I like sativas. The indicas get you sleeping. It makes me all bored and I don't want to fucking do nothing. So purple, I don't really necessarily like, purple shit. I like anything that's gonna gas diesel, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that that's gonna get your mind instantly. You load it and you want to roll, you want to do shit. I like that type of smoke. But so I'm gonna need some good weed. I'm gonna need some good ass beats, preferably from Red on the track. And I'm gonna need a mic, man, that's it. The mic and the equipment. Shit, besides that, we do whatever. We set this shit up and we just gonna roll. You know what I'm saying? I don't need nothing else.
You mentioned beats. Has there been any beat that you received that you passed on and became a bigger song for somebody else?
Man, my producer, Red on the track, he was always doing shit for Kevin Gates, and he did him and TD did Perfect Imperfection, and he did John Got It with Kevin Gates. So like a lot of times I hear beats and he's in the studio making some shit in the other studio, and I'll be listening, I'll be like, yeah, that bitch dope. And I'll be kind of want to rap on it, and I don't press him about it, or later on, it'll wind up getting to Gates, or he'd be like, yeah, Gates, send me a clip of it, or I mess with X-File on the track from Baton Rouge, and me and him have a close relationship, and I used to get a lot of his beats early, and then he'll call me and be like, hey, bro, 8 Ball and MJG on that beat you picked, you know what I'm saying? And I'd be like, fuck, or Ref took a beat from me one time. It's always some shit like that, because I kind of deal with some people who are kind of making some moves, but it's never been nothing that I trip on, because it's kind of be happy, kind of. I passed on my own beats and it turned into a song, you know what I'm saying? I did a beat for Snooty Wild recently, El Pablo, and it was my beat, and I kind of liked it, and I never just kind of concepted and put a song to it, and I fucked around and put it on a sample disc, and Snooty made a fucking hit out of it, so maybe that one was probably the biggest one, because it was my own beat.
Craziest studio story, if you have one?
I was in Atlanta when I was going to school, and I remember one day I was so fucking depressed. I ain't had no money or nothing, and I came to the studio fucking with Tone, and I was like, I was telling him about it, and I was like, man, fuck this shit, man. This shit all fucked up, and I ain't got nothing, and bullshit, just talking shit to him. He was like, fuck that, man, come on. So he picked me up. I think he took me to Patchwork, and he brought me in there, and he was like, we're going to the Wale session. I'm gonna just take you over here and let you fuck with Wale or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just let you see how the studio be or whatever. Not necessarily to directly fuck with him, you know what I'm saying, to be straight up. But he took me in there, and we got there, and on the way there, he went in the studio, and on the way in, somebody was coming out, a dude I knew was coming out the other studio, you know what I'm saying? I was hollering at him, my dude Ashton, and I was hollering at him, and I'm like, what up, whoop the whoop, and Tone that went on in the studio while Wale and them. So when we chop it up and we stop, so he walks back in the studio he's working in, and I'm kind of standing in the hallway right outside the door, and I'm kind of like, fuck, I don't want to walk in the studio, because you know how it is. You walking in a major with nobody knows who the fuck you are. So I kind of stood on the other side of the door for like a minute or so, thinking about it, and I just finally built my nuts up to walk on in, and I kind of slid in right by the door. It just so happened like nobody really paid attention to me, but I think we were in there, because we were working out of DJ Toomp studio when I was fucking with Tone P at Metropolitan. So I think Toomp was in there with Wale, Stokely from Mint Condition, Tone P, some more people, you know what I'm saying? And Wale was talking about, he didn't have shit to rap about. He was like spazzing, because he was like, oh, I ain't got nothing to rap about, and I've rapped about everything and all this bullshit, you know what I'm saying? He was like, all right, when I can't afford this shit, you motherfuckers, and he was just spazzing. It was kind of crazy just being able to sit there and watch, motherfucker do it. And then he went and dropped the verse, you know what I'm saying, whoop-de-whoop like that. And I got to, just witness that shit and the energy of just being around all these major people kind of just like boosted me back up at the moment. But it was just crazy to be around them and, kind of see that shit. And then later for him to come out with the album about nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was kind of just unique to me and my own story, you know what I'm saying?
What's the realest song you ever wrote so far in your whole catalog of music?
The realest to me, Still Dreaming. It's a song I did a few years ago on my mixtape, Back to Work. It was right after my brother got killed or whatever, and I was in Atlanta. And I was kind of in between. I'm like feeling like it, because it has a double meaning in the name of the song, Still Dreaming. When people hear it, you think like I'm still dreaming as far as like I'm sleep, and which is kind of how I mean it, but I'm kind of in the mode like I'm still chasing dreams, but it also means like I'm still dreaming in a bad way. Like, is it like, am I chasing this dream for nothing? That was like the feeling of the song, you know what I'm saying? But it was like I'm telling people I'm still chasing the dreams, but the feeling of the song was like it's stressing me out doing the shit, you know what I'm saying? Feeling like I'm doing it for nothing. I had just lost my brother, and I was like going through so much, and I was just depressed in life, you know what I'm saying? And I just spoke on some shit, you know what I'm saying, in that song, Still Dreaming. That was like, it touches me to this day when I listen to it, you know what I'm saying? It like tears me up, like when I watch the video and everything. I don't really watch it that often, or listen to the song often, because it just puts me in my feelings every time.
Risk versus reward. What's the biggest risk you took for your music career so far?
Stepping out on my own, taking my own money, and putting it forward towards, like, you know, it's a difference when you got somebody else's money, like a CEO, and he's like, all right, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna go to the studio, and we're gonna buy beats, and we're gonna go fuck with this person, and we're gonna shoot these videos. And on the other side of it, you never really know the significance of how much money they're spending, or, you know, like doing it yourself, because you're not doing it. So, you know, people don't take it the same, but when you actually have to take away all that, and then, all right, well, if you want this shit to come true, spend your own fucking money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Go put 10, 20,000 into this shit and then see what it feels like. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's the biggest thing with me, you know what I'm saying? Like, putting your own money into it. And I decided that, you know what I'm saying? I started my own company, you know what I'm saying? I started my own label. I don't have any CEOs. Nobody puts any money beside me or with me besides, you know, my boy Eric, who owns part of the company, you know what I'm saying? So that's the biggest thing, just jumping out here on your own and putting your own money and taking money that you got to work hard for to make this shit happen. It's different, you know what I'm saying? But the risk versus the reward is great to me, and that's the biggest thing I've ever probably done, but I'm happy I did it.
Proudest accomplishment so far in your music career?
Having my own label. Like, to say that I'm independent. I don't have a CEO. Nobody puts this money, so when people see whatever I'm doing, regardless of how much you think it costs, or if you think it's a small amount or a big amount, you know that I had to put the money up to do it. You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest thing, when I could go and say, I own this label, and people, you know, a lot of people rep some shit and be like, oh, so-and-so ENT, blah, 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 blah. You don't own that shit, man. I can go buy your name and shut you the fuck up right quick. So when you could say, this is my name, this is my brand, and you have it in solid, it's written, you own this in paperwork, it's the best feeling in the world, man. You own yourself. I write my own checks to myself. What's better than that?
Biggest misconception of you?
That probably that I'm probably like a lot turned down. Probably that I'm cool, and it's two, because I see people like when I do a turned up song, they be like, damn, nigga, I don't know you be, but a lot of people don't be around me because I'm very antisocial. So people don't know my goofy side, my silly side, my turned up side. And then the second misconception is just that I'm not as intelligent as I am, that I'm probably not as smart as I am. And like I say, people just see you how you are, how you dress, how you carry yourself. You know, I smoke a lot of weed. You see me always getting fucked up in songs, or I'm talking about this all the time. Every time you see me, man, this nigga loaded. Don't mean nothing. I'm intelligent as a motherfucker. You know, so that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions, is just that I'm not as probably smart or savvy or on game as I am.
Craziest rumor you heard about yourself?
That's something I have to think about. The craziest rumor I heard about myself. I don't know, man. I try to tune out the rumors, and I'm so like away from people. Like, I don't get many, man. Probably that somebody else is putting all the money up to do this shit. Somebody built my studio for me and paid for everything, and that all this shit I'm doing is funded for by someone else.
So that's false?
Of course.
Do you care what people think of you?
Not personally, about what I'm doing with my life personally. You know what I'm saying? Like the choices I make, no. I care what you think about my music. That's about it, because it's about the consumers. I still do what I do, but I do take into consideration people's thoughts about my music or whatever, because I'm doing it for them. So at the end of the day, I have to, consider that. But as far as what I'm doing personally, or what I do when the cameras are off or behind the scenes when I'm not in the studio, fuck no, man.
What are your keys to success?
Consistency. A team, building a team that has the same goal, people with ambition who are willing to work for it, people who likewise, good vibes, hard work, dedication, Persistency, man. That's it, and good connections. Being able to, network with people and meet people.